Smiley from the Energy Boutique with your energy forecast for Sunday, September 18th. So we had the moon in Gemini yesterday. It made its last quarter moon aspect with the sun in Virgo and then went void, of course. We are locking into Cancer energy at 3:59 a.m. here this morning, Eastern Standard Time, of course. And with that shift, we are definitely going to move a little bit of the pressure out of our headspace, out of our mental plane, out of that processing mode that our heart and head has been doing very, very good job at for the last couple of days. And we are dropping down into the heart space. Of course, the moon rules over Cancer energy, so the moon is in its place of power. And we are definitely feeling all of the feels. Now, keep in mind, we like to stick to what is tried, tested, and true. We like to stick to what is comfortable. We are a little bit more introverted, wanting to stick to the home, sticking to what needs to be taken care of within the home, within the family dynamic. We are a little bit defensive and very, very mama bear protective in Cancer energy. And we are definitely looking to see where it is that we have to kind of nurture ourselves and our loved ones back to a place of safety, of security, of stability. Now, many of us have been in a situation as of late where boundaries have been tested. And in this Cancer energy, we really are going to see where new boundaries need to be created and implemented in order to protect us, especially in our emotional field. So there are 9 different aspects here today, and 6 of them involve the moon. The moon, while still in Gemini energy, is going to semi-square the true node. Now, we are just merely a couple of minutes away from the moon actually shifting into the Cancer energy, so we are at the final degrees in this Gemini energy. This is likely going to disrupt a lot of sleep states and put a particular energy over us where we are really confused on what it is that we are supposed to pursue, what mission and purpose we are being called to do. And basically that true node is the soul's path. It is the destiny point that we are aiming for. But right now, there's a lot of confusion. Of course, the Gemini energy is very divided. We have pros and cons for each choice, each path, each direction that we are currently contemplating. And right now, things just don't make a whole hell of a lot of sense. The moon does lock in to this Cancer energy. We will feel that shift around 3:59 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. The sun, before any kind of moon activity, is going to bump into Saturn. So here's the thing. The sun is in Virgo, as you may remember. We are entering into the last week, the final days of Virgo season, which means we are at those final degrees in Virgo energy. We have a lot of pressure building within us to fix things, to solve things, to identify what it is we need to build and create from here in order to take care of ourselves, to address our mind, our body, our soul, to recognize where it is that we need to be of service to ourselves, returning ourselves to a state of wholeness before we can go ahead and be of service to other people. Now, Mr. Saturn, Mr. Karma himself, is retrograde in Aquarian energy. This is a positive aspect between the sun, our life force energy, where it is we need to pour our time, attention, and energy into right now, and Saturn, who is trying to show us where roles and responsibilities are concerned and where new foundations, new structures, new routines need to be built in order to balance the scales. Again, taking care of ourselves just as much, if not more, than taking care of other people. Now, this particular energy is going to give us a little bit of a reality check, I would say. We're not floating off into la-la land. We're not projecting ourselves too far into the future. We are very present in the here and now, and we're very aware of what isn't working for us, especially some of the commitments that we made, the roles, the responsibilities, the obligations that we feel like we have to honor with other people. But because Saturn is retrograde in Aquarius. This is more about where it is that we've done more for other people, sacrificing our own wants, needs, and desires in the past, and where that's actually gotten us. This is about us returning to a point where we realize that taking care of ourselves, doing well, honoring ourselves, doing what makes us happy as an individual is actually doing a greater power, a greater service to those that we love, to everyone else around us. But in the past, again, retrograde energy, we have literally put our own wants, needs, and desires, our own health, our own energy, everything that we should have been doing for ourselves to the side in order to do what we thought other people wanted from us. And again, I'm going to ask you, where did that get you? This is going to provide us a little bit of clarity, a little bit of revelation, this aha moment that we really need to hit us really kind of hard at this point in order for us to see direction, the direction we need to move away from, and the direction that we need to lean more into, especially where roles and responsibilities are concerned. And if that means that we have to, revise, retrograde word, revise our commitments, our obligations, and, kind of take a good look at where it is that we've outgrown some and where it is that we have to cut the cord with certain exchanges, if you will, that will free us up in order to build a different system, a different foundation, a different structure in our lives of how it is that we're going to take care of ourselves first, mind, body, and soul. Make sure that we are operating from the most potential of health and wellness and wholeness within ourselves before we go ahead and start giving our power away to other people. The moon in Cancer semi-squares, which is a tension point, Uranus, the great awakener, who is retrograde in Taurus energy, trying to show us in our inner realm where it is that we are afraid of change, where it is that we are overly attached to people, to relationships, to titles, to possessions, and where those attachments are actually creating the blockage from the universe being able to bless us with our prayers, where it is that we are failing to be able to manifest certain elements in our lives because of the attachment that we have to certain aspects, topics, themes in our physical realm. Now, let me just say that the moon in Cancer is going to feel all the feels. And again, really likes to stick to what is old, tried, tested, and true. The Uranian energy wants us to bust free from everything that is keeping us stuck in the past, that is making us fearful of moving forward. And in this particular energy, we just have to kind of understand that, again, the word attachment, I ranted about this a couple of days ago. I feel like I'll do a mini rant just here to refresh us all. Attachments don't necessarily mean that, I'm overly attached to this person. I would be so afraid if they were to ever leave me. I guess that means that I have to distance myself and cut them off in order for me to be my highest self. No, that's not what we're talking about. Attachment is an energy. And to detach means that you appreciate the person, the title, the possession for the part, for the role that they're playing in your life, knowing that if and when the time should come that you've outgrown this soul contract, you've outgrown this chapter in your life, that you're going to be okay without this person, without this title, without this possession. You can still have them in your physical life. Being emotionally detached, appreciating the situation in the here and now with holding fear on what it would be like if certain elements were taken away from you. We want to remove the fear. That's a low vibration, a low frequency that isn't doing any of us any good. So this particular energy is definitely going to highlight where it is that we know we have to make changes, but where it is that we're desperately holding on for dear life to all the things that may be uncomfortable, but that are predictable because they've been around for so freaking long. The moon in Cancer is going to bump into Mr. Saturn in not the nicest way. Mr. Saturn, of course, just had a revelation on where it is that we needed to build new routines, new systems, new foundations in our lives in order to support our own health and wellness first and foremost. This moon in Cancer has a tendency, Cancer energy just period, has a tendency to throw themselves into other people's lives using that as a distraction for them to not do the work within themselves. And when we kind of concern ourselves in other people's lives, thinking that we are taking care of them, thinking that we are saving them from something, we are actually interrupting their karma. And there is a very fine line between helping someone and basically leading them and holding their hand and enabling them through life. And the moon in Cancer wants so desperately to take care of other people, especially our loved ones, that we tend to not do so good in taking care of ourselves. We just had this earlier aspect on where we had these revelations with Mr. Saturn on what it is that we had to do differently in order to take care of ourselves first. And as I mentioned at the beginning of this forecast, we are definitely going to recognize where boundaries are needed in order to draw a fine line between us and them, me, the individual, I versus everyone else that I love, that I want to take care of. I need to fill up my own cup. I need to be happy. I need to be healthy. I need to be in a state of wholeness before I go ahead and start sharing my love, my attention, my energy with everyone else. So this is a little bit of a conflict because, again, the moon in Cancer wants to desperately hold on to what is old, what is tried, what is tested, what is true, what is familiar. And right now we are in a great time of adjustment, a great time of change. The moon in Cancer is going to get into the boxing ring and square off with Jupiter, the planet of growth, the planet of improvement, the planet of blessings, abundance, and belief. Now, here's the thing. Getting into this boxing ring is never fun, but it is needed in order to highlight where we are feeling tension, where we are feeling uncomfortable, where we are feeling this conflict so that we can address this particular issue. This needs to change the fastest, the quickest, and the most. The moon in Cancer squaring off with Jupiter is really showing us where it is that we have to let go of the past in order to grow, where it is that we have to stop romanticizing situations in the past in order to accept things in the light, in the matter of fact, in which the way that they are instead of which it is that we desire it to be, in order to actually move on, to move forward. This is a hard thing to do. We are really having it out with ourselves right now. And Jupiter is just highlighting for us where it is that maybe our beliefs have changed because of certain situations, because we're getting, multiple tests of faith right now. And because of that, that's kind of pushing us to hold on to what is in the here and now, which does not open us up for the possibility for change. And again, we're going to go back and forth. Emotionally speaking, the moon is our heart space with what it is that we're desperately holding on to, even though we continue to pray for change, for growth, for improvement, for abundance, for blessings. But yet we are not willing to let go of the elements in the here and now to create a space for those new elements to actually have a space to be birthed, created, and born into. The moon is going to bump into Venus in a very positive way. This is going to help us out because this is going to help identify for us, first of all, what is going on inside of us where our own self-worth is concerned. Many times we kind of sit in fear and we desperately hold on to the way that things are or the way that things were because we don't necessarily believe that we deserve any better. Now, Venus is all about self-love, self-worth. We have to take care of ourselves. You see the topics and themes repeating themselves here. Now, the moon in Cancer, again, typically will take care of everybody else first and have no energy left to take care of oneself. Venus has learned some very harsh lessons over the past couple of months, if not couple of years. And she's recognizing now that guess what? Self-love is where it's at. Self-care is where it starts. Filling up the cup first before sharing it with everyone else is a better thing, not only for us as individuals, but other people get the best part of us as well. We're recognizing where it is that our self-confidence, where our self-esteem, what it is that we actually believe that we deserve is coming up for question. Why? Because many people, like I said, are desperately holding on to the old, afraid of what putting themselves out there would actually mean, what that life would look like. And underlying in our unconscious selves, there are questions on whether or not we deserve to be happy, we deserve safety, we deserve security or stability. And Venus, again, in Virgo energy, is looking to identify the problem so that we can solve it, is looking to put our own selves first and foremost so that we can be happy and healthy and whole, so that we can be our best selves in a role of service to take care of the people that we love. The moon in Cancer is going to jump into the boxing ring and square Mercury, who is retrograde in Libran energy. This is going to be a tug of war between our heart and our head. The moon, of course, is our heart space, our emotions, our intuition, our unconscious selves. Mercury, of course, the mental plane, our logical, practical selves in Libran energy, which has a huge focus on our relationships, finding the peace, the balance, the harmony in our relationships. And as you may know, Libran energy is super indecisive, which means that there's an inner debate going on in the mental plane. And now we're taking that debate even more threefold by getting the heart involved. The moon and Mercury getting in this boxing ring are going to kind of do a tug of war on what we need to do to balance the way that we feel with the logical, practical aha moments that we know are coming at us live in order for us to make the changes that we know we have to make. Now we're in a retrograde, so this is about reflection. Now this is honestly a powerful placement for the moon in Cancer to be in, because even without a retrograde, Cancer energy is more focused on the past than they are on the present moment, than they are on the future. So this is going to be a total deep dive in the past. We're bringing up memories. We're bringing up old conversations. We're bringing up just old thoughts and memories to reprocess, especially where our relationships are concerned, where it is that we've given too much of our time, our love, our attention, our energy away to other people, and where it is that we failed ourselves by not reserving any energy for ourselves, for our own health and wellness before we started, again, giving our power away to other people. Mercury then goes ahead and sits across from Jupiter, who is retrograde in Aries energy. Mercury is retrograde in Libran energy. Libra and Aries sit across from one another in the zodiac wheel. Libran energy is all about us as a team, as a relationship, as a partnership, as a group, while the Aries energy is about us as the individual, our wants, our needs, our desires, besides what is best for the team, for the unit. Now, let me just say this. Mercury is retrograde. Our mental planes are not working. Miscommunication is at an all-time high. Misunderstandings are at an all-time high. What I will say to you is that there is going to be conversations in your external realm that can absolutely go to shit really quickly. Why? Because Jupiter magnifies everything. And right now, the mental plane is hella confused and hella divided. Right now, this particular aspect, we have a tendency to miss the point of the conversation, of the whole point that the person is trying to make. B, we exaggerate. Our feelings are exaggerated. Our reactions are exaggerated. And C, we tend to jump right to a conclusion without thinking logically and practically, because of course that part of our mental plane is down. Now, we can get all hyped up. We can magnify our thoughts and emotions that aren't even very clear to us and make an absolute shit show of a mess trying to explain it to someone else. We have the tendency to overstate our feelings. We have a tendency to exaggerate our thoughts and feelings. And what we need to do right now is we need to step back, create some space, in order for us to actually be able to explore our thoughts and feelings in a quote unquote reaction to other people's, comments or truths, because there's a lot to explore. And if we jump to conclusions, if we get into a back and forth, miscommunication, misunderstanding, confrontation, there is going to be a lot of drama, a lot of hurt feelings, a lot of mess to clean up when Mercury goes direct. Before we can even start moving forward, there's going to be conversations that have to be cleared up and cleared out before we can move on. Now, this particular aspect, as conflicting as it is, gives us a very good opportunity if we're able to kind of act as the observer and not play into this chaotic energy, for us to step back and be able to actually tap into our greater, grander vision, our intuition, right? When Mercury is retrograde, we have to rely on our intuition to guide us because our logic and intellect isn't working so well. And if we're able to catch ourselves before we, get into this very, very tension-filled misunderstanding and exchange with other people, we're able to actually see and visualize the solution, the path forward, what it is that we need to do from here. But not if we get reactive in conversation and do this back and forth bickering that this particular energy definitely supports us in doing. So be very mindful of how this energy is going to manifest in you. The sun in Virgo goes ahead and trines Pluto. So Pluto's the great transformer, and he's retrograde in Capricorn, trying to show us where it is that, maybe the endings and closures that we tried to do before didn't work out so well. Maybe because we gave our power away, maybe because we were allowing our pain, our trauma, our suffering to dictate what was actually possible for us. The sun in Virgo energy, of course, is illuminating for us, putting the focus on what it is that we have to fix, what it is we have to resolve, where it is that we have to create and be a little bit more disciplined in our creation as we attempt to make sure that we're operating from a state of health and wellness and wholeness. Now, Mr. Pluto, the great transformer himself, does an absolute mind F in the psyche. That's where transformation has to start first and foremost, is in the mental plane, then in the heart space, then in our physical bodies. This particular interaction is super, super intense. We're going to have laser focus on where it is that we have certain advantages in life, mostly because we're able to tap out of our ego and tap into our higher selves, the observer mentality, to see where strategy, logic, where critical thinking is absolutely key. This is going to lead us to having some super profound insight. This is like a level of empowerment through the intellect, of having light bulbs flash, of having just puzzle pieces click together. This is about us having revelations. And when those aha moments start popping off, it triggers our life force energy that the sun represents. And when we have these aha moments, it's a domino effect. We think differently. We see things differently. We understand the past differently. When we rewrite the narrative of situations that were painful for us in a different light, coming from the observer mentality where spiritual lessons are always at play, it changes our emotion. And most times it illuminates for us where it is that the heavier emotions have the potential to be of a higher vibration and frequency. Why? Because there's a new level of understanding. There's a new level of awareness. That's where change happens first and foremost. And right now we're all about change because we're entering into the final days of Virgo season where a huge amount of healing is going to take place. And we're closing out this particular cycle as we approach the equinox where a new cycle begins. So these aha moments are very important because they have the ability to not only change the way that we think, the way that we understand certain situations in the past, but it rewrites our emotional field. And once the heart and the head are on the same page, we can engage the physical body to take action in our physical realms to make the changes and transformations that are absolutely necessary for the next stage, and chapter of our lives.